focus on main thing.
Sure.
So, you do the recording and share it with me so that have to share it with the platform. Okay, fine. So, let's see.
It will be in the meeting itself, Muthu. Once you can done with the meeting, it will be populated in that meeting itself. The
Oh,
link will be
great,
there.
great. That's great. Okay. So today we will see one of the what you call dummy application, how we can do the recording and what are the basic steps that we do as part of recording a web application. Capturing the use case, simple use case. So normally while recording any application, just make sure that you don't have any other tabs or any other application, any other contents open in any web browser, so that when other calls get captured, because we are configuring the proxy, and from the proxy we are just intercepting and capturing the request. So it is always a must, like you only have the necessary what you call plugins or browser which is open, which is used for accessing the application alone, and no other tabs should be open, and no other actions is to be performed. Say like even your email client is not to be open, because it also communicates with the server, right? OWA or Outlook or whatever that is. So today, just to start, we will see a sample application. I will just launch Google Chrome. So before before capturing the use case, we have to configure the proxy. First, I'll just launch this application to see whether it is working or not. BSW.com. So this is a dummy application. Okay. So this is nothing but a simple web-based application where you book a ticket, like a passenger traveling from like one place to other, like departure to destination. So the use case works like 4 to 5 pages are there, like 4 to 5 steps or so. First, as soon as you launch this website is called blazdemo.com. So it works in any browser, like Firefox, Chrome, or any browser for that matter. So it can be launched from any browser. It does not have any browser issues, like it only supports Safari and it does not support Firefox and all. Okay. So first, uh, as soon as you launch this application, you will be taken to this what you call welcome to Simple Travel Agency. So this is the first page. So after this, you will have to select the departure city, like whether it is Boston or anything. You can do, any place you can select. Then select. You have to select this find flights, but select this find flights button. The session is getting recorded, right?
Yes, Muthu.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So after giving the departure city and destination city, you have to the user has to select this find flight button.
Yeah.
So it will list the list of flights available from the location which you have selected, that is departure and destination, and
Mhm.
timing, flight names, and cost of for the flight. Anyone you can choose. That is just for practice purpose, right? So you can
Yeah.
choose any. You can select choose this flight button. First, I will show the exact use case, just like manually how we navigate through the list of pages or steps. Then I will show how it can be captured using Jmeter. So
Got
I'm
it.
just taking you through the list of steps now for this use case. Just give any name, like okay. So we'll give Vignesh. Okay, 123 Main Street. Any name or any street, that it doesn't matter. Even without any state or address also it will work. But we are just giving for namesake, as it is input field. I'll tell you. Tamil Nadu zip code is something, whichever what is visa, any random card like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 digit or anything, whatever that is. 12. 14 and 16. Okay. Month 11, and this is going to be 2023. And here it is Vignesh K. Okay. Then I am after giving all these fields. Filling all these fields. You have just the user have to click on purchase flight. Okay. So that's it. So thank you for your purchase today. This is the successful message that we received. When as soon as you place the order, this is the final thing which gets done. So thank you for your purchase today. So and this is what the 3 or 4 steps that we have in this page. So now I'll just configure the proxy. Second, because JMeter communicates only through proxy, and we will have to capture the use case only through this proxy. Without proxy, JMeter uh, won't be able to capture the steps or exact calls which is uh, which is sent from the browser to the server or received from the server to the browser or client, whatever that is.
Okay.
So proxy is here. So local host, what you can give is local host 8080. Then save. Then close this. That's it. So now, if you launch this Blaze demo website, it won't work because now you have configured the proxy, and this proxy has to be configured in JMeter in order to make the internet connection establish. So this won't work now because as you have configured proxy. So,
Yeah.
then I think you are able to see my screen, right? Earlier
Yes.
we were able to launch the website. Now after configuring proxy, there is no internet. So now to establish the internet connection, what I have to do is I have to uh, configure the list of components. I will explain one by one. First, I will just configure it.
Yeah.
Inside the test plan, I'll have to configure the thread group. So this is nothing but for every use case or every functionality or a feature, the steps that you want to configure has to be captured inside the thread group only. So thread group is a mandatory. So this thread group, during the load test, we configured the number of users, ramp up. Ramp up is normally the time in which the users enter into the system. It cannot be given as 0 or it cannot be given too high. There is a proportionate way of configuring it. Normally, we configure it with one user 5 seconds or one user 10 seconds. Based upon that, if you are going to run for 3600 seconds, which is 60 minutes, then you have to configure. If it is 100 users, then you can configure here 500 seconds, which is something like 500. Something like if you are going to do the load test for 100 users, you can configure it 500 seconds. Uh, this is the normal way of loading the users or populating the users to the system so that system doesn't get overloaded or system doesn't choke or doesn't throw too many errors when the users are getting into the systems or actually what to say, like entering into the system before doing the actual work. So if you reduce this 500 to like 250, there may be a possibility that systems may throw, based upon the system performance and system capability, system can throw 500 errors or system can slow or system can even crash also depending upon the system configuration.
Okay.
So normally we prefer or I prefer giving 500 seconds. For one user, it is better to give 5 to 10 seconds. 10 seconds on the high end, 5 seconds on the lower end. So below that, it is not advisable. So just to give.
Yeah.
Okay. The loop count is normally we give it for validation purpose. Normally one user one iteration or one user three iteration. Say for example, if a use case is executed in Selenium for multiple iterations, to make sure whether it is working for one user, if it is working for one ID, to make sure it is also working for other user ID, doesn't the XPath is not failing, or whether it is locators doesn't fail for other users also. We validate it for multiple iterations. Same way, here loop count refers to the number of iterations. Say for example, one user, one iteration, two iteration, three iteration. Will one user, when you run the script for one iteration, just use capture the use case and run it for one iteration. It may work or may not work. So after adding all the checkpoints and assertions, all the basic setup in the script, you can validate for multiple iterations, 2 or 3, with different IDs to make sure that your script is fully functional.
Okay.
Okay. So this is for one user. Later, what you can do is increase the number of users and run it just to validate, like smoke test. You can run it for like 10 minutes, which is 600 seconds. 5 users, run it for 600 seconds, which will ramp up is something like 10 seconds. As this is for validation purpose or just a smoke test, we run it with less number of users for shorter duration to see how the system is behaving for multiple users with less load, just to see how the system is actually running as it is an initial stage of scripting validation, just to make sure the environment, once we receive from the infra or DevOps team, to make sure all the end-to-end system configurations are done properly and system is say like an order is placed and from the UI perspective, from the launch page till the logout page, how the transactions or steps work for each user. We are just running it for 10 minutes and seeing how it works. So that is one way. So now I'll just go ahead with the okay. So so apart from this, we also have like a sampler. See, action to be taken after a sampler error. What is the purpose of this particular what do you call it? Functionality in this Jmeter is, so when an error occurs, whether it has to continue or it has to start the next loop inside next loop for the same user, or it has to stop the thread and stop the test, or stop the test now itself. Stop the test means it will just continue till the end, and it will, once all the calls are executed, after it gets failed for the current call, it will execute all the other call, and then finally it will stop when after what do you call after the log off page. uh, so stop test now means as soon as you see the error, it will stop the test. So stop the thread means as soon as you an error occurs, it will stop the thread and it will execute the next iteration with a different thread. So that's how it is. But normally continue is used only for validation purpose, while during the load test, we normally go ahead with start next thread loop, so that in case of any error occurs, this iteration will be, this thread, which the current thread is executing, will exit out from the current iteration, and it will start the next iteration freshly, so that it will not execute with the present error and it will not continue to the next page. Say like, I'll explain in a different way. Say like, if you see a page which is failing, but for somehow the server did not respond or the page did not load, and the page for this particular step the page has failed. I'll exactly show the let us stay on. Okay, so this is the exact scenario, right? When launch, login, navigation to the product page, selecting a product. Okay, so here until the navigation to the product page went well, selecting a product, we see that 500 interval server. As it is a server error, the page did not load, or due to some issue, the page was not getting loaded. So what happens if this page doesn't load? If you continue to the next page, obviously without loading this page, next page cannot be loaded, right? So the purpose of this particular continue is for validation of the script during the validation, or during the what do you call, as soon as you record the script, and to during the validation of each step, we go ahead with this continue option. But during the load test, we don't have to go with the continue option. We go with the start next thread loop. In case if the selecting a product page gets failed, so first three steps got passed and this selecting a product page got failed. So if you give continue, all the other two transactions also will fail. So this is for only validation to make sure that each step how it is getting passed. Till the validation, we can go ahead with continue option. So once after the script is or the use case is completely functional, we can just go ahead with the start next thread loop. So that is how it is done in Jmeter. I mean, okay. So far we are clear, right?
Yes, Muthu.
Okay. So now we inside the test plan we are adding the thread group. So inside the thread group there are number of components which we can add, but I will give you a high level idea which are all the components which are important as part of web application scripting. So later you can also explore much more. So first thing is like we go ahead with for any recording or capturing the use case for web application. Normally we go ahead with a recording controller. 1 second. Recording controller, sorry, okay. Recording controller. Inside this recording controller, we will give the transaction controller. So recording controller is nothing but we are giving the list of steps inside this controller to make sure that this is part of what you call on a high level, it is part of one test plan, and this thread group will have list of steps inside it. Recording controller is just an important component inside which we will add the transaction component. You just have a understanding like inside any thread group will have a recording controller. This is for web-based scripting alone. Okay.
Okay.
So just giving the name as what is this? All right. Okay.
So probably in our organization, like usually we'll go with these things, right, Muthu?
Yes. For any web-based
applications,
scripting use cases, we do the same kind of procedure. That is what I'm been explaining. So inside recording controller, we will have a transaction controller, which is part of inside this. Okay. So why we go ahead with this transaction controller is for each step we are representing inside the Jmeter as a transaction. Transaction is nothing but a list of calls for a particular page will be captured inside this transaction controller. Say for example here launching the Blaze demo page or a website, whatever that is. Okay. So then I'm just copying and pasting it here. So there were 5 calls, right? I'm selecting, just giving the list of transaction names first, and then I will start the use case capture of use case.
Yeah.
One. Right.
Can you maximize that, Muthu?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I'm giving the names. It can be anything. For easy for understanding, I'm giving these names. So now I'll start with the recording controller. These are the transactions, right? So in order to record a use case, what you need is like config elements. 1 second. second. Okay. So you have to right click on this test plan and then select non-test elements, and you can select this HTTP test script recorder. This is normally used for configuring the proxy, and this proxy will, whichever proxy which you have configured in the browser has to be configured here. So what we have done is localhost 8080, right? That is what we have configured here. Settings,
Yeah.
advanced system proxy. So here localhost 8080 is what we have configured. So the same thing which we have configured there should be given in the Jmeter. So localhost is not required, just the port number 8080. So this has to be given. If this port number is used by Jmeter, some other, uh, some other software, then we can try to give a different, whichever is not being used, say like 8081, whichever is given in the browser is to be given here. Okay. So that is one thing. So here 8080 is given. Then while recording, what you have to do is whatever the transaction which you have given there, now for each step, whatever we are going to do, you have to capture it under the respective transaction. So now first we have to launch the application. Just giving on launching the Blaze demo website, so it will capture under this launching the Blaze demo website. So now after giving this transaction or selecting this transaction, what you have to do is just click on start. So then only after clicking on start only, Jmeter will communicate with the proxy to capture the request. So now you can see, you can just, this is just a toolbar, you can just ignore it. So now if you just click on this blazedemo.com, whatever the calls which is passing through the proxy will be intercepted by the Jmeter, and it gets captured in this transaction. Which transaction? Launching the Blaze demo website. Okay, so now you can see it as the internet is loading, and now you can see that what you call the page is loading. Here you can see the number of calls getting captured.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so when normally for Jmeter this is kind of whichever certificate issue, but you don't have to worry about it. You just can click on advanced and proceed to blazedemo.com.
Okay.
So this is the first page. So what is launch? We have launched the application. Okay.
Yeah.
So now the launch is done. So there were so many calls, but for only the application, we will later see which are the calls which are part of application, which are not part of the application. We can ignore the calls which are not part of the application. That I will tell you later. So now these are the calls which are captured inside the Blaze demo website. Launching the Blaze demo website. So now you can just minimize it. Now the next transaction is we have to select that welcome to whichever city, right? From and to. Sorry, the tabs are like okay. Okay. Now you can see that now we have to select the place like departure city and destination city. So now the next transaction is from and to city, which I have given the name. So here what I have to do is just go to the HTTP test script recorder, and I have to select the next transaction. If I am going with the same transaction doing the actions means it will get captured inside this transaction itself, launching the Blaze demo website itself. So that is not the right way. So I have to select the next transaction, which is from and to city. Okay. So now I have to go and select the place like whichever like departure city as Portland and departure destination as New York, and then I have to select the find flight button. Okay. So as soon
What
as
happens? What
yeah
happens if we does not choose the target controller for that particular step? Like we left, like we forgot and we left it over for the launching itself. And what happens, Muthu? Like it will again go on do the same operation.
what it will do is it will just now you see that this call is captured inside a second transaction, right? What it
Yeah.
will do is like it will go and get added to the this first
Oh,
transaction.
Got it.
So and then you will not be able to measure the page wise or step wise or transaction wise. It gets clubbed and you will get a two-page response time in a single page. I mean, a two-step
Yes.
response time in one single transaction, which is not correct, right? So as
Yes.
per
Yes.
our logic, we are separating each page into each transaction. So that
Yes.
is the
Got it.
reason we are segregating it.
Yeah.
So now this thing is like we can go ahead with advanced, proceed with place demo, continue. Okay. So now it all the the next call reserve.php is captured. So now the third action we have to select the flights, right? So selecting the best flight. Now I'm going to select. So as soon as I'm going to do the third next action or transaction, I'm selecting the next particular step. I mean what you call
Yeah.
as transaction controller to make sure that all this next step calls are getting captured under this particular transaction. To
Yeah.
separate it, so which will help us to identify the response time. So
Yeah.
now I have to select the third transaction, selecting the best flight.
Yeah.
Okay. So selecting the best flight. Now I'll go ahead and choose the next whichever flight I want. I can choose. Choose any flight, like choose this flight. Okay. So advanced. This is something proxy error. No issues. Okay. So now the next step, best I have chosen the flight. Now I'm going to input the fields like before I'm finalizing the flight. I'm just going to input or give the details before going to the purchase flight. Okay. So which is like booking the flight.
Right.
Next
Yeah.
one is I'm going to select the booking the flight, and for naming purpose I have given different names. Later I will change it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll have to select the next transaction, booking the flight. Okay. So now here I have to give the input to this field. Like I'll give like Sudha and 123 Main Street and any town status. This is anything which you can give when it's not going to validate or throw any errors. You can give
Okay.
America and Express or Master Dynapro, anything, 16 digit or even five numbers, anything. Okay, choice, and this is going to be 2000, what do you call 2100. The Okay. Then I have selected the next transaction as booking the flight. So now I am going to click on purchase flight. So that all this, whatever has been updated or whatever calls which is going from browser to the server will be captured by the Jmeter. Whatever calls which is coming from the server to browser will also be captured because Jmeter sits in between browser and the server. So it is going to all the calls which is passing from client or browser to the server will be intercepted by the Jmeter and it will be captured. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So now I'm going to click on purchase flight. Okay. This is not required. Advanced. Proceed to okay. Continue. Okay. Now it has done. So this is the final page. Our order is success now. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. So this is not required. Disable or remove. The remove is nothing but just removing it from the test plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is the use case. This is for just for recording, right? We have captured the use case, but still the script is not fully functional or it is not as per the standards. So what we have to do is now the use case is completely captured. We can stop the recording. Recording, how you can stop is either you click on stop here or you can click on stop here. Okay.
Okay.
You click on stop here. The recording is, completed. Now, until unless the proxy is disabled, you can't access any web page here because
Yeah.
still the proxy is enabled. So settings, uh, then advanced, then system, then you can disable the proxy. Okay. So
Yeah.
Now, if you launch the application, say google.com or anything, it will show you the page. Okay. So this is one thing, and now, the folder structure that we normally follow is, say, like for any uh, um, best practice that we do is, you can give it as scripting, and inside it we can give it as this is the standard practice that we normally follow in industry, like recording, working, and final. So normally recorded script will be captured here, recording, right? Working, whatever the changes which you are working on will be updated here. And final, once the functionality or the script is fully functional, it will be updated to final. Why we do normally like this is like, any kind of script while we are working, it can be like corrupted, or it can go as not working, or it can throw some issues or something, because Jmeter as an open source tool, it can throw some issues as well. But to avoid such kind of complexities, we have a backup copy of recording which we won't change. So from this recording, I mean, uh, we do a save as of the same script to the working folder, and inside this working folder, we do all the changes. Once the script is fully functional, we move it to the final. Am I clear now?
Yes, Muthu, but actually,
Yeah, I'll
I
tell you.
yeah.
Yeah, you are able to see my screen, right?
Yes,
On the.
yes. Yeah.
So now what I will do is, see, on a high level, these are the folder structures. Okay, scripting,
Yeah.
inside scripting, you have recording, working, and final.
Yeah.
So, and this is the recording part of the script. Now, as soon as the use case is recorded, we call it as recording part of this use
Oh,
case, whichever
okay.
use case. So now I'm going to save this test plan because it is unsaved. It doesn't have
Oh,
any name. So now I'm saving this test plan, right? Okay, save test plan. So now inside that folder which I've created, I'm saving the this JMeter script.
yeah.
There is JMeter training, inside that scripting, inside that
Record.
recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I am normally JMeter script will be saved with the extension .jmx. Okay.
Okay.
So we don't have to specify .jmx. It is normally saved with .jmx automatically.
Yeah.
So say for example, now this script name or use case name I'm giving it as booking ticket. And for any JMeter script or any path which you are going to use in JMeter, don't give any spaces because it will throw error. So it is
Okay.
always combined you have to give.
Okay.
Or you specify underscore or something, but it is not preferred. You give the name alone. That is, without any space, you have to give the name.
Yeah.
Okay. Now inside the recording, I'm saving this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this script is saved inside the recording folder. Okay. So
Yeah.
when you click on this, like a white page like icon, a new test plan will be loaded, which means whatever is saved will be what do you call? If there is no, this test plan is not saved, it will throw an pop-up window message stating that you have an test plan which is you have a test plan which has unsaved changes and all. Now, as we saved, it will not throw any error. So this
Okay.
is how when you click on this white icon, you will see a new test plan. So now I have saved the script inside the recording. I can just click, drag, and drop. So you can see the scripts come. Okay. So
Okay.
now we have the latest script inside the recording folder. So now I don't want to do changes inside this recording folder. I will just do a save as booking ticket.jmx and move, do the save as. I also I will have a copy of the script in the recording and also in working.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'll just click on this icon. So you will see a fresh test plan. Now you can see that recording also has a script, and working also will have a script. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever changes we do for this script will be updated in this test plan only, or this file only. We will not have any impact in this recording file and all. Why I do like this is, as I said, like when we are working with very large complex scripts, there may be chances that scripts getting corrupted. That is the reason to avoid kind of issues, last minute challenges and all. We do have a backup copy so that
Yeah.
we are not like doing all the rework again. So
So
that is
this
it.
is mainly used for the reuse purpose. Like if I want to do it again with a different recording session or with the multiple users, if I want to change those kind of things, then I can use the dump which we have saved in the working.
Yeah,
If
that is one thing. Also, when you are working with a very large script, complex script, as you do more changes, the script size also becomes huge, and
okay,
the logs also getting more and more. So in such cases, the script may sometimes throw unwanted errors, or like script may get corrupted as well. So
got it.
we also will have backup to avoid such kind of situation. To make sure we are always safe on safer side, we will have a backup copy always.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so now I will click and drag and drop this file. So okay, so
Yeah.
now you can see that whatever we are going to do, the changes inside this script will be updated here in this working folder.
Okay.
So so far are we good, or anyone has any queries? Sudha, Jalin, Vignesh, Danish.
You're good, Muthu.
No, Muthu, good.
Yeah, okay. So, so far we have seen this test plan. Inside the test plan thread group, we have recording controller, transaction controllers, and also we have seen this test script recorder. Test script recorder where we configure the proxy and capture the steps for the use case, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So after the capturing the use case, we can just remove this. After capturing the use case, there is no need for test script recorder. We can just disable it or remove it. You can remove it. Okay. So
Okay.
after removing it, we can save it. So now what we can do is just we can add view listeners tree. One second. Listener, inside the listener, we can add view results tree. What is the purpose of view results tree? Is like it will show whether whatever the calls inside the transaction is getting passed or not. So, we are going to validate the script just for one user, one iteration. One user is nothing but one thread. One iteration is nothing but one loop count. Okay.
Okay.
So we will just run the script. Running is nothing but just clicking on this play button.
Hmm.
Okay. So now
Yeah.
we can see it's getting passed. So, all the green icons doesn't mean that your script has passed or not. As this is a dummy application, it will show always your script is passed. But in real cases, it is not like that. You have to see for each call the request body, request headers, response body, response header, what is being actually passed and what is we are receiving from the server. So it is 200 okay, and if you are getting proper response from the server, then it is okay. If you don't see proper response, then we have to analyze what is the exact issue. So here it is like title, head, viewport. Okay. I have just executed the script, just to tell you how it looks like. Now we can just debug the script. So let's see. So this is the actual website, blazedemo.com. It is HTTP or HTTPS, that doesn't matter. And it's a get call. So normally we give the follow redirects and use keep alive to make sure that if if the request is going through a set of redirects, it will automatically follow the redirects by itself. Say like you have embedded components inside it, CSS, JavaScript, all will get loaded with this URL. So it may not be been part of this what you call like subcomponents, you cannot see it, but during loading this page or call, it will also load the subcomponents. So it is always recommended to give this follow redirects and use keep alive. Keep alive means still all the number of components and redirects are completely fulfilled, it will keep this request alive. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the request, and if you have any parameters inside passing inside it, you can see it here in this parameter or body data or file upload, any files which are getting uploaded. So now header is part of every request. So header will contain these are the details like user agent from if we are using any browser with respect to the browser, those contents can be loaded. Either it can be Chrome or Firefox. These are as it is a sample website. It has these are the components of. I mean, it supports like Mozilla and Google Chrome, Safari, and all. So normally the request is which will have like accept encoding like gzip, dflat. It is a normal, I mean, encoding type. The request should not be sent in the plain format, so it is encoding type. Cache control. This is also a default setup on the server to allow how long the request has to be valid. I mean, request is to be valid, say like a certain time, like it has to be valid for 1 day or 1 hour or so. So other requests, I mean, so these are part of the header. That's it. Okay. So
Yeah.
now this call is the main page that is launching the website. So when you see like these calls, like you can see these calls, normally these are not part of the application. So what you can do is either you can remove it or disable it. Removing it, it's not like just right clicking and disabling. You have to also disable the subcomponent. Like you have to select the header also which is present inside it and also disable it. Then only the complete call gets disabled. Okay. Either you can disable it or either you can just right click and remove it, whichever. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can also disable it, right? It will not impact actually.
Yeah, it will not
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
So you can disable it. And that is what
Yeah.
disable or remove it.
Or
I mean,
remove it. Okay.
yeah, if you have too many calls of which are not part of the actual application, which are getting repeatedly, I mean, getting added to the use case or transaction, then you can either instead of clubbing them and disabling it, you can remove them. Select it,
Valid.
right click. That's it.
Yeah. But how do we know like it is not a part of this thing? Like if we get the IP here, then it is
Yeah,
known that it is not part of that. Oh,
when
okay.
for your, I mean, actual application is blazedemo.com. So it
Got it.
should be blazedemo.com/anything. So it
Yeah.
should not be like individually, the call should not be like with IP.
Yeah. 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 Got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this
Muthu.
is a different thing. We can disable it. Uh, this is something, these are like proxy. I mean, what you call, as we record to proxy, there may be, if you have any web, say like webmail client or something, those calls also can be captured. So that is the
Capture.
reason for every call and every request that we see, we have to check whether it is part of this application or not. As this is part of the Blaze demo, then you can ignore it. So
Yeah.
other calls and all, this call is also part of Blaze demo. Okay. Then this one is not part of
Blaze
application.
demo.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you can disable it. Okay, so this is done now. So next, from city and to city, this is not part of the application. You can disable it. These are unwanted calls when you connect the proxy with Jmeter. So that is the reason we say that no other applications to be launched in any browser tab. So that when you interact with the proxy, those calls also will be intercepted by Jmeter, and Jmeter doesn't know whether it is your application or some other application. So that is
That's
the
true.
reason you are allowed to only access the application which you are working on, so that you don't get confused.
Yeah.
uh, and this is the from state and to state, all those things. Uh, Booking, then finally, this call is also not part of Blaze demo, disabled. Confirmation is finally we are booking the ticket also. Okay. So now we have disabled the unwanted calls, and now we can see how the script is running. Yeah, 1 second. For refreshing it, you can just click on this button, which will clear. If you want to clear all, say like you have multiple scripts and multiple view results tree. If you want to clear all of them, you can use this, which will clear all. So okay, so now we can just run it to see. As we have just disabled the other calls, it won't be coming here. Okay, so we can see how. Normally, this is how the request body will be and request headers will be, and response data will be something like this. You can also view the response in text format, HTML format, like page format, whether it is which page you are seeing and all everything. Just a minute. I'm just checking whether which will look like the actual web page. 1 second.
Yeah.
So this is the first page. I'll show you how it will fail to pass request sampler. Next upload. Okay. Okay, this should be correct. 1 second. So okay. So this is like first response body, response headers. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Madhu.
Yeah. Okay. So here you can see that there are some redirects for which it has, automatically getting redirected and then executing the consecutive request. So that is the reason this redirect purpose is what you call follow redirects and use keep alive is being used.
Okay.
Either you can go ahead and select the redirect or automatically, or you can by default Jmeter itself will for the respective request will have this follow redirect and use keep alive. It gets automatically selected, so we don't have to worry about that. So Jmeter takes care of it automatically.
Okay.
And then followed by where it is. So normally a browser, if you select the browser type, it will show the page which is getting loaded in browser format, right? So you can see the list of contents for each request. So here as soon as we launch the application, we can see this call. Then we select the different locations where we want to travel. So this launching the Blaze demo website is nothing but this Blaze demo website we are launching. That is the call. This one. This is a call. So after that, where reserve PHP is nothing but you are just selecting the flights for the respective destination. As soon as you are what you call, as soon as you give the source and destination, list of flights for that particular location will be displayed. So from this we were selecting any one flight, right? So this
Yes.
is the transaction name. So from and to city is nothing but transaction name. Purchase, we are giving the input for the respective fields before ordering the flight ticket. So selecting the best flight, Then finally confirmation page. Here it is just a confirmation will show. When as the transactions are coming at the bottom, the respective calls are at the top, you will get confused. Now I will show the transaction. Inside the transaction, you can see the respective calls. So just you have to, for each transaction, you just have to select the generate parent sample. Now just refresh it and run the script. So now you don't have to, you will not have any confusion as like which transaction, inside which transaction, which call will be appearing. So here you can see inside the transaction one, launching the Blaze demo, you can see the Blaze demo page, right?
Yes.
Okay, so inside the from and to city, you can see which, like whichever the flights we selected by giving the source and destination place, a list of flights will be appearing. So here we are selecting the flight and then moving to the next purchase page. This is the purchase side. We give the input details and finally we are booking. Booking is nothing but we click on purchase flight, then only the flight gets booked. Okay, this is a confirmation page.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share the script so you can go through it, and tomorrow we'll see the list of important topics which is related like apart from this transaction points, how to add text check, correlation, parameterization, and how we can do much more enhancement to the script, right?
Sure.
So loading on the same day will not help, right? Because I want you guys to just explore so that this is an advantage or skill set on performance. So if you know the basics, then you can explore it by yourself. Basic is
Sure.
the key for everything, right? So I want you to explore. If you have any queries, ping me. I'll help you. Okay. I will
Sure.
share
Sure.
the script so that in this chat so that you can download it and you can explore. That will be good.
Okay.
Where is it? Okay, one second. Okay, so this is done. So okay, okay, no issues. So so now we can stop the recording. I think
Yeah.
so that you can stop the
Yeah.
recording, and
Yes.
you can add the access